I had to switch the cameras because I ran out of space on them. But I want to continue on with my thought about the seven spirits that I think we can see basically have a control over our people, a possession, if you will, or obsession of our people. Um, Even like I said in a previous video about the polygamy thing, which was big in Africa. We know that Yeshua, when he came to teach the nation, he tried to give them a correction on the more than one wife thing when he stated that at the beginning it wasn't so. It was just Adam and it was just Eve. Anything that was done after that was the hardness of men's heart that Yah winked at, which he talks about in the book of Hebrews. But he said, now that Yeshua has come, he has called all men to repentance. And the polygamy thing is not of the Most High Yah. It's not. Um, Again, it is lust. It is a spirit. It goes back to adultery. Fornication is a thing that possesses our people. And no matter what walk of life, it can be in the church, it can be in business, it can be in education, fornication, another a thing big. Now, of course, we know when we came over here in slavery, all things changed. We, it was a lot of rape by our oppressors. It was sex breeding farms that they had where they had the big back bucks that would they were made up with the best black females, and it was almost like the Most High said, okay, if y'all want to continue engaging in these sins, I'm going to put you in a place where you're going to be forced into all kinds of debauchery. It's almost like he said, here, gorge yourself on this, because when we were in our own land, we were committing a lot of sins. Think about Mary Magdalene. She was a prostitute that had what? 7 spirits cast out of her. So prostitution was going on when Yeshua was there. Also, uh, divorce. He talked about divorces. Divorces were high at the time that he was there. So these sexual sins were possessing the people. And the thing about some demonic possession, it is not always with a person foaming at the mouth. The best demon possession is the kind that the person don't know that they are possessed. You know, even like with this, with a fake religion, or even like with this Christianity thing. When you are born into deception, you think it is the way. Um, uh, you think that's just the norm, but it's not. And so one of the things that you are kind of graded on, I don't want to say graded on, but you look people look at you for as when you as you're a young black man growing up in the hood is how many conquests of females do you have? I mean, even though, you understand what I'm saying? Even though marriage is the ideal situation that most families want their sons to be in, they have no problem with them, and I don't care who you talk to. It could be pastors, whoever. They don't have no big thing about their sons going out and sleeping with women, because it's like if you don't, it's you kind of look on like something is wrong with you. Of course, now we gone past that stage and we got into other things. But I'm just saying when I grew up, and also when I grew up, it wasn't it it was no big thing. Uh, Around the time when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, that some females were, you know, was sleeping around. Because of the women's live movement thing, that woman need to be free, take charge of her body or whatever. So fornication and adultery. Why do you think we have so many, you know, single mothers? Because of this is one of those spirits that have made us more wicked than before, because it is common place. It is demonic oppression, a possession. Understand what I'm saying? It is possession. It is possessed thing. Adultery and fornication. It is. I mean, the sexual sins gets us every time. And before Yeshua come back, he said he coming for a bride without spot or wrinkle. So is we that's one of the things we got to get this spirit cast out of us as a nation and as individuals. You know that we are put up chastity as a good thing in our neighborhood, and then that is something is wrong with the man or something is wrong with the woman if they want to wait until they get married to have intercourse with each other. But right now, I remember it could have been about 5 years ago. There was this black man and this black woman that got on TV. I don't know what show it was, but they had signed these chastity pledges that they would keep themselves until they got married or whatever. Or oh no, let me take that back. It was a black female, and she was 16, and she, along with her father, she went and got an examination done to show that she had not had intercourse, and she got the doctor to sign off, and she signed this pledge with her father that she would not have sex with any man until she got married. And you can see the comments by the black people talking about this was weird and this is crazy and you don't need to tell her what to do with her body and all this. This is what I'm talking about. But this is what was started when Yeshua. Look what happened when Yeshua came to the woman at the well of Sychar. She said, "You with a man?" He said, "Go call your husband." She said, "I'm not married." He said, "Yeah, something about the fire that you got ain't your husband." So this stuff, this is why we aren't in the state we're in. That's one of the spirits, seven, that I believe that has followed us, plagued us, and that we gotta ask the Most High to cast this out of us, because He's not coming back for no whorish bride. He's not. The next one is religious hypocrisy. We are a religious people, but we a lot of times get like Samson, where Samson, he was not supposed to cut his hair. He was supposed to keep his vows and stuff, but we know that he would he didn't cut his hair, but he was not using the strength that the Most High Yah gave him for put it to good use. He was using it to gallivant off to mess around with foreign women and do all kinds of crazy things like fight with lions and stuff like that. But he always had this religious thing that he did. The Bible said he would shake himself as times before, and the power of the Spirit would come on him. But we know that after his hair was cut, he broke his pledge. Then he said he shook himself as time before, but the Spirit didn't come. We are like that. The Most High Yah can move one time in a certain way and might have not really changed us, but we know, hey, if we do such and such thing, maybe the power will come, maybe the Most High Y'all be gracious and He'll do visitations or whatever. But after a while, it'll just become a ritual thing. We'll become uh, 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 hypocrites. So is, to me, the holiness movements of the late 1900s and the Pentecostal movement of the mid 1900s after Azusa Street, that the holiness movement, you know, dealt with them changing the way they presented themselves. Not that women were wearing pants back there anyway. It wasn't, but or at least not some of them. I don't think widespread. But what the dress of being covered up or whatever, that hey, this is gonna bring you know, the way I dress. You know, I'm gonna put a little dolly on my head or whatever, and this is gonna make the Most High Y'all more favorable to me. Put a bonnet on my head or something, but underneath you just corrupt or whatever. But then the Pentecostal movement that came along with the speaking in the tongues and all these other things. But we know that it got early on the the one of the sins which we're gonna talk about got in there, and we know what ended up happening. It ended up becoming a form thing where if you could shout and you could, and it was some churches that were teaching people how to speak in tongues. It became a religious hypocrisy thing, but you carried on the hypocrisy of it, but the effectiveness of it was could not be seen in the communities where it was at, because it was religious hypocrisy. It was an outward form. So after slavery, when we had these opportunities, our churches that we got developed into in all denominations that we were in, into a form of religious hypocrisy, whereas we pride ourselves as being the ones that baptize, fully immerse you if you're a Baptist. We pride ourselves as Black Methodists that we fully educate you, that you fully educated. We pride ourselves as Black Pentecostals that you were full of the Spirit and all the gifts manifest or whatever, even though a lot of times it was just word of mouth. It was not a lot of validation of what was said. And we also, you know, find out, you just go look at the Oprah show called Greenleaf, and it's talking about the Church of God in Christ, about how it really was back in the 50s and the 60s. It just brings it to the modern time. It's based off a book by a young man. Well, he's not young, but he's a man. I guess probably maybe my age. I'm not sure, but he's one of the illegitimate sons of Bishop J.O. Patterson that was presiding bishop of the Church of God in Christ from the early 1960s to the 80s, I think, when he died. But he was a womanizer, a big time womanizer, you know. But so the Bible said if the head is unsound, the whole body. So that means that, and then in fact, the Church of God in Christ had split in the 60s because of that. So religious hypocrisy. This is demonic oppression when you doing this over, and this is widespread through whatever denomination. Even in this Hebrew thing, it's a lot of religious hypocrisy, and it's really kind of the same thing that in the Black church with the wearing the nice suits and robes and stuff. They just exchange it for the Hebrew and African garb that's real expensive. It looks nice and got the little, I think they call them zixis or whatever. That, and with the outward appearance thing is still going on there. So it's religious hypocrisy is one of the things, one of the demons that's got to be cast out of us. The sexual immorality and the religious hypocrisy. We need those spirits got to be exorcised out of us. You can see it in the other nations where we're at, where, you know, in the Latin American countries where we are at. It's Catholicism, but they still do voodoo. Which Catholicism is a false Christian Christianity, whatever is false or whatever, but they also practice voodoo. They still practice voodoo. And in the black Muslims, now Islam is a fake, false religion, period. But even amongst them, what some of the stuff that they supposed to not be do, they do it, but they have the outward appearance with the head covered and all that other kind of stuff. So these are two demons that got to be cast out. The third one is division. We have so much division amongst us. Think about the northern and southern kingdom. This started back before the northern kingdom got taken away. It's a lot of division amongst the starting back then. It's a demonic team. Now it seems that after slavery, during slavery and after slavery during Reconstruction, that the oppression by the Caucasians upon us caused us to work together, and it seems almost like that's what it takes for us to work together. But after the pressure eased up a little bit, you will see division. You will see division starting amongst our people, where we and I understand outside forces help push that, but I'm saying it's something inherent in us even before we got over here. Would there be the division? Because if you know anything about the migration patterns of some of the Yahudim and Benjamites and Levites that came out after they were chased into Africa, and some of the tribes that have already got into Africa from the northern kingdoms, that they were fighting amongst each other, not knowing that they were. And even in the west coast of Africa, the kingdom of Dahomey, which is the tribe of Dan, how they was taking, capturing a lot of Hebrews and selling them into slavery. And we know there were Gadites and other people, other tribes. Now, of course, some of them, a lot of them don't know that they Hebrew or didn't know back then. But still, you can see the division where we always constantly tearing each other down. And even in today, in different countries in Africa and here in the United States, there is so much division. So this is another spirit, another demon that oppresses and possesses us that's got to be cast out of us as a nation and as an individual. The next one is love of money. We love money. We love, think about even when Yeshua was on when the disciples, when he talked about it's easier for a camel to go through an eye of a needle than a rich man to get into heaven. And what the apostles said, it was like, then who can go to heaven then? Because, and they think about the rich young ruler. He said he loved money. Think about Paul. Paul said he made a lot of money, off of religion. We love things. We love nice things a lot of times, and the love of gain, the love of stuff is, the Bible said, the love of it is the root of all kinds of evil. Just like the slave trade, the selling each other off. It was a lot of times it was Hebrews selling Hebrews into slavery for the love of money. That they would say, hey, I got some nice, pistols and guns and stuff here, but you got to go capture the other tribe. And it's the classic divide and conquer. But the Caucasians couldn't have never conquered other African tribes without the help of other African tribes, because they love money. They got a lot of wealth. A lot of the chiefs signed, and the Caucasians knew it. They signed off land deals of land that was not theirs to get gain, and they used these contracts to later on to try to oppose this upon the Africans. So the love of money is another demon, another spirit that we gotta get cast out of us. The love of gain. Look at the health and wealth gospel. Most of those churches at the beginnings were made up of us. And look at Creflo Dollar. He became one of the biggest purveyors. Look at all those people in there. Their love of money. Okay, the next one is idolatry. We are very idolatrous people. Uh, in Africa, but when we was in the land in Africa, but then even when we got here with the paintings of the white Jesus, which he said don't make no graven image. But then our ideology of political leaders, I can think about the pictures they show in the 60s, where they had a black household, where they had a picture of Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, and his brother Robert F. Kennedy mounted on the wall like the Holy Trinity or whatever, where these people actually was looking at, and then also the picture of the white Jesus, which the Bible said don't make no likeness. He said thou shalt not make any graven image. We are a very idolatrous people. And then when movie stars start coming out, we start making them idols and start worshiping them. And you can even see in the Old Testament with Moses. That's one reason why the Most High wouldn't allow them to know where his body was buried, because they would have worshipped Moses. We are very sense conscious people, and like I said, idolatry is something that's got to be cast out of us. We make idols of people quickly. We will, I mean, put pictures up, and no matter what religion, it can be Islam, it can be Kemet, it can be anything. We make idols out of anything quickly. We make idols out of objects like Michael Jordan shoes. That's an idol to some people. The new Jordans, they worship that. Or clothing, or watches, or cars. We are a very idolatrous people, and that demon has to be cast out of us as a people and as individuals. The next one is pride. We are very proudful people. You say, how could that be if you've been humbled by slavery? Well, there is such a thing as pride in, not that's going to cause you to rise up against your oppressor, but pride amongst yourself that, going back to the sexual thing, that I said, the sexual demon of adultery and fornication, where I pride myself of being a ladies' man. I pride myself as being a good card player, or I pride myself as a woman of having the best looking. I'm the best dressed person, in school, best dressed person at church. Oh, she has the best hats. She got the best hat collection. We are very proudful people. And the Bible said pride go for destruction. Bad pride. Not saying have self-esteem in yourself, meaning hold your head up and not let somebody make you feel bad because of the color of your skin or whatever. But I'm talking about pride that is anti-Yah, that is against him, that makes you think you are better than what you are, which this Hebrew Israelite movement, because some people have found out that the other people have elevated the pride of some people, to a level that is Most High is gonna have to bring some of us down. Because again, he said we brought nothing into this world. We can't take nothing out. Whatever we get, we thank the Most High Yah. Now we do, as I stated in one of my sermons, we do need to not let people debase, and we gotta act more honorable. But our pride, it doesn't come from what we felt that we have done. It comes from the fact that we know that Yah has shown favor to us, even though we didn't deserve it And I'm not prideful. I'm grateful, and I'm grateful so much that I'm not gonna let somebody tell me that I'm not blessed when I know the Most High Yah has blessed me. But I'm not boasting because it is something that in myself that I have done to get there. Just like this 400 years, I know I didn't do anything to get here, but the Most High Yah was gracious to our people. The the last one, and I'm gonna hurry up before this video runs out, is murder. We are very murderous people. Whether it's in our heart, we hold a lot of contention and hatred for each other. Where I could just kill you to actually, you see all the stuff that's going on with the gang violence that was in the 80s and 90s and the 2000s with the Bloods and the Crips and the Gangster Disciples and all those gangs in Chicago, or even right now the stuff that's going on in Chicago, which I know is some you know outside forces there, but we will kill each other at the drop of a dime. And this again is a spirit that we gotta ask the Most High Yah to cast that spirit out of us. So adultery, religious hypocrisy, division, love of money, idolatry, pride, murder are 7 spirits that made us worse. But now that we're coming down out of the curses, we're gonna ask the Most High Yah to take those off of us, and put on us the 9 fruit of the spirit. We don't want these 7. We cast them out. We reject them in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach. I reject them in our life, in our thoughts, in our businesses, in sports, in whatever occupation we find ourselves in. We cast these spirits out. We don't. Yeshua said, I have given all power in your hand. He said, you shall walk on scorpions and serpents. So that's what we got to put these things under our feet. We can't exalt them. Now, like I said, it's more than 7, but I just wanted to highlight 7. Another we could have said drunkenness. We are people. I ain't saying that consumption alcohol in itself is bad, but we have a tendency to get inebriated, and also drugs. That's another one, or pharmakeia, the spirit of pharmakeia. But I want to stick with these 7. But this is what we need to stop praying for in our own individual life, but mostly as a nation around the world, that the Most High Yah would cast these spirits out of us, exorcise these spirits out of our minds, out of our psyche, out of our because they literally became part of the almost like a culture to us, and we got to reject this and ask the Most High Yah to cast just like he cast the dragon down. We got to ask him to cast these spirits down. He said, casting down wicked imagination, every high thing that exalts itself against the knowledge of Yah. We got to cast it down in our own individual, on our homes, in our gatherings. We got to cast these things down, because Yah is reversing the curse, but we got to actively participate, and we got to make our garments white. We got to make ourselves ready. If we are the bride, we got to be without spot or wrinkle. We got to be the 5 wise virgins that had extra oil, which is the spirit. The Bible said if you walk in the spirit, you will not fulfill the lust of the flesh. You will not let these 7 spirits and any other spirit gain control of you. He said, a righteous man, though he falls 7 times, he will get up. 7 is the number of perfection, meaning after the 7th time, you should know, hey, I'm not going back down that road again. I learned from what I did. David, he had that blip with Bathsheba, but he never went back to doing that again. Now, of course, Yah never let the sword depart out of his house because of that. But David, for himself, never went into that again, the sin of adultery. But like I said, we are coming out. I'm hopeful, not just for myself, but as a nation. So when we start seeing these things turn on, we seeing chastity being promoted in our communities. When we seeing giving, being more blessed to give than receive. When we see us come together, no division. When we start with the religious hypocrisy and getting churches and stuff named after ourselves and ministries named after ourselves. When we see the pride, that is on display in entertainment go away. When we see this murderous spirit we have for each other go away, then that's what the Most High. Then I believe we'll be able to see 1 Corinthians the 12th chapter with the gifts of the Spirit being more evident in our and not just in assemblies and churches, but amongst our people everywhere. I believe that, but right now, these spirits got to be cast out of us. You got to be. Think about the one instance. I'm gonna get ready to end this video. But remember when Yeshua walked into the synagogue and he said it was a man sitting at the head of basically at the head of the class. He said how when he came in, the spirit in him said, Jesus, have you come to torment before the time? He was sitting in there listening to the word. Probably was maybe a trustee or a deacon, or maybe was one of the rabbis, but he had a demon in him. And it's like the people that was in there didn't even know that. That's our state that we're in. We think it's people with their head twisting behind them and foaming at the mouth and everything, but no, a lot of us are demon possessed, and we gotta ask the Most High Yah, cast these spirits out, but also the fact that the flesh gotta be nailed to the stake every day. So that's the most important thing. Every day we gotta nail that flesh because in it dwell no good thing. All right. So that's our message today. May you be blessed.